It's time again to register for the Photo Imaging Connect conference at the Rio Hotel, March 1st and 2nd, 2026. Go to www.photoimagingconnect.com for more information on the program and take advantage of the early bird pricing.
Welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast, the photo imaging industry's leading news source. Here's your host, Gary Peugeot.
Okay. Hello again and welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. I'm your host, Gary Peugeot, and today we are honored to welcome the legendary David Buchbinder of Alkit to the podcast today. Of course, they're a long-standing photo industry member, gone through a lot of transitions through a family business that's now in his third generation, and they're based in Long Island, New York. Hi, David. How are you today?
Terrific. Thank you very much for having me, Gary. It is an absolute pleasure. I love you. I've known you for way too long.
Exactly. Well, we'll hopefully won't get into the history lesson because I do want to talk about what you guys are doing in the current and in the future, but let us talk a little bit about history for the people who may not be familiar with the various evolution that Alkit's gone through, because you've been almost every kind of business there is through the company's almost, I think, 90 years of history. So can you just briefly share that?
Yes. So we started back in 1936. It was my grandmother and grandfather, Alfred and Kitty, hence the name Alkit. And we started in 1936, and my grandfather, Alfred, ran away from Odessa, Russia when he was 13 years old, didn't speak the language, and fast forward a little bit, and he opened up a couple of retail stores in New York City and got our business started.
And then, of course, your father became involved in it, right?
Then my father, second generation, came into the business, and he had big plans, big aspirations. So where my grandfather and grandmother started with retail stores, my father saw an opportunity for a professional wholesale type of operation.
Mm-hmm.
So he opened up a location on 18th and Park in New York City to cater to the professionals, where he was selling film, selling cameras, and that kind of morphed into buying and selling used equipment, trade-ins, and then professional labs started quite a few years after that. Then my brother came into the business 1987.
Okay.
And then I came in 1991.
Okay.
And that's when the third generation kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I guess I came in 91. So we probably had 6, 7, 8 really good years. And then things changed pretty abruptly with the age of digital.
Right.
So our where we had all these different businesses, a big part of our business was selling film, and we had a niche. It was selling large format film to fashion photographers, catalog houses, department stores, and that was a big part of a business. And then when we saw digital coming, and digital coming quickly, we had to make a big pivot, and then we decided to expand our retail stores. So where we had one, now we decided we needed other revenue streams to support family members and our amazing staff. And we opened up 5, they were referred to as Kick stores. Yeah. They were the first branded Kodak Image Center solution stores in Manhattan.
Right. And that was at the time quite the innovation back then, because if you wanted to have a chain store, you were, primarily either a Ritz or a Wolf, or maybe a Moto Photo or something like that. But there really wasn't a big, at that era, wasn't a big branded retail chain presence. So that was Kodak's bid to try and bring their idea from Canada, as I recall. It was pretty successful in Canada, and they were trying to bring it into the U.S. And you guys were really one of the independent retailers who got into the program, who was really kind of highlighted by Kodak. So you had a really good relationship with Kodak at the time.
Yeah, at the time we were very close with Kodak. They were an outstanding partner. We believed in the vision, in the branded stores, and that but we learned that operating these stores, especially in Manhattan, was quite the challenge for us.
Mm-hmm.
Going way back when, in the, I guess, late 90s, early 2000s, if we'd have one of our stores was a 1,000 square foot store, and we were paying between $10,000 to $15,000 in rent alone.
Right.
And then just with the high overhead in Manhattan, we kind of figured we're going to have to pivot again after a number of years.
Right. And that's really, I think, one of the things I think is interesting about your family business is, rather than stay locked into, we're going to be this type of business, you kind of go where the customers are, not necessarily where the technology is, right? I mean,
Correct.
because from a technology standpoint, I saw a bunch of people back then in the day when they were, like you said, they were servicing the fashion photographers. So they really went headlong into, maybe trying to sell digital camera backs or something like that. But there was no money in that.
Right. And I guess so after several years trying to make the stores profitable, I guess the life lesson that I learned is you need to move on quicker. Meaning we kept the stores open much longer than we should have.
Okay.
Why? Because I believed in myself, I believed in my brothers, and we believed in our people, and we believed that we're just going to figure it out how to make it profitable, and we just needed some more time. So after putting more and more capital into the businesses, we realized we got to move on and pivot once again. So we closed down all the retail stores, and then we were left with our main location. So at our main location, we had started we'd always been in the printing business. So we started consumer printing. Now we were growing our professional printing.
Right.
And we started growing the professional printing. Our niche was wedding, bar mitzvah, and portrait photographers.
Right.
So we were building this up, and we got to a point where now we had a professional lab business that was doing well. The challenge, though, was that we were operating it on 18th Street and Park Avenue South in Manhattan, where the rent is sky high.
Right.
And we recognized we had to bring our overhead way down, and we had to do it very quickly. So we moved to Freeport, Long Island for a fraction of the overhead. And we pretty much now had a model. And in addition to the new model, low overhead, we then also now shifted into the volume world. And if we didn't make that pivot from wedding bar mitzvah portrait to the volume world, we wouldn't be having this podcast this morning. So it just wasn't enough to sustain us wedding bar mitzvah portrait.
Yeah, especially since, that sort of space, you've seen, a lot of decline in the output business for that, right? The wedding business. I mean, people are still printing from weddings like they used to, but certainly not at the price they used to, right? I'm in Michigan, and a typical wedding photographer back in the day could charge $3,000-$4,000, right? And then prints on top of that, and and that all disappeared.
When we were doing the printing for in that market, being where we were located in Long Island, the people like to throw very big parties. And then in terms of the 4x6 proofing, an average proof job was about 1,500 to 2,000 proofs.
Right.
That was very good for our company. We were also providing all the cut prints, enlargements, and then later on we got into offering albums.
Right.
So in our facility in Long Island, we had an album binder where our expertise was not actually producing albums. Our expertise is on individually color correcting and producing beautiful prints. So we had our album maker was a tenant in our space. They produced the albums. We produced all the prints. We're just always interested in producing the prints. So that was a very good relationship until about 3 years ago, we decided to exit the album business because, well, number one, we needed the space for our volume work, and then number two, the album business was just continuing to decline. So we're putting more and more time into it. It was just a declining business, and we were seeing kind of the younger generation didn't really want the albums anymore.
So when did you kind of decide that volume was going to be a market you could tackle I'm thinking of the time frame, right? When about was that?
Yeah, that was in the around 2004. So we had moved to Freeport, and we were still doing wedding bar mitzvah portrait, but we were even out of our location in New York City, we were starting to grow our volume business. But our workflow, back then we had some machines in the front of our facility, some machines in the back of the facility, some in the middle of our facility. Yet it was just the worst workflow. And I kind of laugh about it now because today what we've learned is the volume world. It is so important to have the most efficient workflow. Photographers, labs, our software providers, and we all link together, and it's all about the workflow.
So when you were approaching that market, it was very different from consumer, very different from professional wedding photographers. What were some of the conversations you had as a new entrant into the market? As someone, everyone in other parts of the industry very much knew your company, but I'm sure the volume people weren't very much as aware of you. What were some of those conversations like?
Yeah, so in the beginning, speaking to larger volume photographers, studios, many people knew of Alkit because we've been in the industry for so long, but really in the beginning, when we were growing the volume, didn't even know we were, involved in the volume. So it was pretty much, I guess just growing a business one by one, and then it kind of, morphs. But yeah, it was kind of brand new for us, that niche.
Yeah.
And now today I look back and it's just amazing because I just love our industry. I'll call it our volume industry because I just love our industry. The people, they're just some of the most dynamic people. And it's just a privilege for me to be able to work with them and for me to be able to help these amazing people run their business better. Oh my God, what could be more gratifying to me and Steven and our staff? And that's kind of what, gets me going every day.
And the variety of work has changed. I mean, you've got produced so many more products now in the lab than you used to produce, right? I mean, you used to be, so like you said, just cut prints, right? That was it. And it's kind of like, there you go. Now you've got, how many different products are you guys producing now?
Well, it's a great question and so interesting. Yeah, at the end of the day, we would, if we had it our way, we would just like to produce 8x10 prints and call it a day. But
exactly.
Far from that. Now it's all the specialty items, the buttons, mirrors, keychains, magnets, acrylic blocks, frame prints, mounted prints, canvas wraps. I can go on and on. So we produce everything in the industry. They're within all of our software platforms, Got Photo, Photo Day, Captura, Rose, and everything. Do we love producing all those? Not so much, but it's what's necessary, and thrilled to be able to do it.
Well, it is. I mean, it is one of those things where a lot of the studios are seeing their business growing. I've talked to a few of the independents who had really good Christmas seasons, right? Because they were able to remarket to their customers, hey, it's time for an ornament, it's for grandma, and it's time for gifts and things, which that business didn't really exist prior.
Yes. So what's interesting is one of the things that myself and our team, promote to our clients and the industry is the need to offer so much more. And there are still so many studios, high volume studios, who many just find it easier just ordering the prints and some of the specialty items. But now within all the software platforms, the providers are making it so easy for the studios to earn much more money by offering all the products. And now when you're sending out, your text blast and email blast, and the orders can come straight to a lab, and we produce them, and within a couple of days, send them directly to our photographers' clients, direct to home orders. They don't have to touch it. So they're just getting paid for now offering these canvas prints, mounted prints, and everything else. They don't have to do anything. So that's why I kind of recommend offer everything. The worst that's going to happen, you're going to receive orders for things that you never did before, and you're not doing anything.
Let's talk a little bit about the software partner side, right? Because there used to be a time where labs would actually try and develop their own software interfaces, right? Where maybe if they weren't using Rose, or they had Rose and they tried to have their own uploaders and their own other things. Did you ever go that route, or did you always look for partnerships?
I'm laughing. It's another amazing question. Wondering if you spoke to Greg and Steve even before this, but so the answer is with proprietary software going back to 2004, when we're looking to grow our volume business. I'm on the sales business development side. My brother and partner Steven does the most unbelievable job, and he pretty much does the opposite of what I do. And we kind of stay in each other's lanes and what we try to do. So I'm sales business development. sees pretty much everything else
Right.
inside operations and does an amazing job. Greg Abris is our technology director. First of all, I love him like he's family. He's been with us forever. He's just the most amazing person and incredible at what he does. Back in the early 2000s, when we're looking to grow our business and we're coming across large volume studios who are using other labs that might have a proprietary software. And I've heard that proprietary software, come up quite a bit with other labs. So, well, I wanted to do that too. So I speak to Greg and Steven and said, okay, we need proprietary software so we could sell more. And unequivocally, the answer was no. They pretty much said, that's not our expertise. And I kept asking. And soon I learned 100% that is not our expertise. We are never, ever, ever going to write our own software because that's not what we do best. And we're going to leave that up to the amazing companies in our industry, GotPhoto, Photo Day, and Captura. They have a team of engineers. They're doing it all day long. No matter what resources I would ever throw at it, I could never come up with a software that's going to be near what they do. So I rely on our amazing partners to do that.
Because I think that's one of the things with digital that's really kind of changed over the time, right? Because people really were, and you and I go back a way, so remember the early days of digital when people, on the consumer side in the 90s, people were trying to do vertically integrated. They were trying to do software, websites, and also their own production, right? That's how Shutterfly started. That's how Snapfish started. And everyone's kind of figured out now, like you said, it's too much, right? You can't, it's very difficult to do that now, to be all things to all people in all those segments. You really have to be, the best at what you do. And what you guys do is printing, right? You produce great prints. So let's talk about the printing side of it specifically. What platforms do you offer in terms of printing output? Is it inkjet? Is it toner base? What are you working with?
Right. We're still using what we consider the best quality, which is traditional paper and chemistry. So we have all high-speed Noritsus in our lab, and our goal is to continue rotting that out, in the years to come.
Yeah,
that's providing us the very quickest and best workflow, so we can get out the work very quickly, and then also offering the very highest quality.
So you're still a silver-halide lab for the most part.
Still silver-halide lab. Yep.
There's sort of this idea that it's inevitable that silver-halide is going to have to go away just because of, the decreasing volume over time. But there's so many people, big labs in Europe and in the US, who are just still committed to silver-halide.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Ever wonder what top-tier financial strategists leveraging the power of AI are actually thinking? Welcome to What's Kenna French Thinking, a deep dive into the mind of a #1 Amazon best-selling author, co-hosted by Kenna French and Elaine Mingus. We're bringing you industry titans such as Sharon Lechter of Rich Dad Poor Dad fame, Laurel Langmeyer from The Secret, and real estate mogul Ron LeGrand. We view the world through the lens of AI, advanced tax strategy, and high-level business with a ton of fun to boot. Search What's Kenna French Thinking on Spotify, Apple, Buzzsprout. Start thinking bigger. Find out what Kenna French is thinking today.
We're ready to make the move when necessary. We don't think it's necessary today. Maybe it's going to be 2 to 3 years. Whenever it is, we'll embrace it and do it. But for now, we're still going to ride.
And you've also had to put in other, obviously, digital printing, because you must be doing some dye sub and some other stuff too.
Well, we're always adding all different equipment and whatnot to,
Let's talk a little bit about customer interactions, right? Because I think that's one of the things that keep a business like yours going, is having tight connections with customers, right? I know a few of your customers who just swear by you guys. They think you're great. And it's because you develop those relationships, because it's not just technology in the volume business. It's a handshake business. So let's talk a little bit about your company business philosophy. Something's going right or something's going wrong. How are you working with that?
So our company philosophy, it just comes down to what we love to do and how we love to treat people. I love the people in our industry, and I just want to make life as easy as possible for them. In terms of other labs in our industry, the fact is we have They're amazing labs. We have amazing competitors in our industry, and they're all friends of mine. I'm not going to say anything negative about any of them because they all do a wonderful job. So if anybody chooses to work with another lab, they're going to treat them very well and do great. What our philosophy is us being a family business. We try to treat everybody like family, but it's just how we. I'm not trying to do anything different. It's just how we are.
Right. It's just how you guys are. Right.
Yeah, and that goes from Steven and Greg. It's just and our entire crew. Steph in our customer support department. She doesn't go to many of the shows or whatever. She's just known in the industry. Everybody loves Steph. She's just a wonderful, wonderful person. Those are the type of people that we hire. It's just who we like to be around and enjoy. So that's kind of just the experience. We feel that we're going to go above and beyond our competitors just because some of our competitors are very, very large labs and very successful. We're successful, but we're not going to be as large as a Miller's lab. I mean, oh my God, credit to them. What we try to do is give much better service. So some of the labs might have the client speak directly to Photo. If there's an issue with an order, we don't do that. Everything comes directly to us. We don't speak to them. Everything speaks to us. And we just want to save you time and make things easy so you have more time to sell and build their businesses.
So after all these years, what is your perception on like the future of demand for output, right? Because you always hear these things. People don't print, no one likes print. And on the other hand, people are still printing a whole lot of stuff. They're just printing differently.
Yeah. So when I started talking about wedding, bar mitzvah, portrait, we saw the changes in that market, and that's why we pivoted, and now we're in volume. Frankly, I would have thought that in the volume world that the printing would have declined very quickly, and it hasn't. And it's wonderful, and it's still, the truth is it declines slowly each year, and which is okay. There's still plenty of business to go around, but we're very optimistic going forward in the volume industry that people want those prints and all the specialty items that come along. And then now with digital, again, credit to all the software companies, how it's just so easy to also order the digital files and the download all. And many of our clients feel bad when they say to me, all right, I got to tell you, we're doing more download all, and I say, that's great. I want you to, because I want them to have a successful business, and there's still plenty of prints, and it's got to work for everybody. So I encourage that, to the industry.
So one of the things that has changed is sort of the advancement in sports and event as well as part of the volume business, right? Volume used to just mean schools and different kinds of schools and maybe yearbooks. And now it's really sports, events, and schools. How has that grown as a part of your business, the sports and events and cheerleading and all that fun stuff?
Yeah. So when we got into volume, we kind of referred to volume as schools and some sports. And now under the volume umbrella, you have dance, you have gymnastics, you've got seniors, you got undergrad, you got preschool. It's just an opportunity for for the industry.
Yeah. Because I think when you get into some of those digital platforms, right, like you mentioned, Photo and people like that, they're making it so much easier for customers to transact than they used to be, right? They don't have to worry about filling out a form and making sure the kid brings in all the other stuff that has probably inhibited growth over the years.
Yeah, the software companies have done an outstanding job. Again, it seems most of the industry by now has embraced the changes, but there's still always a segment that has not. And we're, I guess I'm always, because I tell it like it is, and I tell our friends, I said, I'm always going to give you my recommendation, what I think is going to be best, for you and your company. You don't have to agree with me, but but please understand, I'm going to tell you what I think is best for your business. And pretty much the majority of the photographers who have not shifted to one of the online companies like Photo, Photo Day Captura, you kind of need to take a real close look at it now, because you're not there today, you're going to be there tomorrow or the day after.
Yeah. I still when I go to SPAC or events, I still run into people still using paper forms. I'm just, and I think it makes sense because it is a radical change, right? For a lot of people, because it is a different way of thinking, and there's, obviously it disrupts your operations to make that transition. So I understand that, but as a company yourself who's disrupted your own business a few times to make those transitions, sometimes you have to do that, right?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And again, many of the photographers who are using the paper forms, many of them are in the rural areas. And again, the recommendation is, okay, try it on, 1 or 2 leagues or schools, and because you're gonna be there, and it's coming.
Have you thought about going for other segments? I mean, I know you do a little bit of consumer and still do some professional stuff, but is that something you hope to grow as well?
What? No, it's funny, where we used to do the consumer printing and we used to do some commercial printing back in 2004, 2005. We had a partner in our lab for a little bit, and they did a whole lot of commercial printing. So we kind of added that to what we were able to offer. And now we don't want to do anything but volume. It kind of was a distraction for us. Yeah, it was a distraction for us. It wasn't our strength. And also, if we're not producing something in our lab, I don't want to offer it. Meaning everything that we do is done in Long Island. And the fact that we offer the industry a 3-day turn, and that's the latest. So everything gets shipped out within 3 days. Many times throughout the year, it's 2 days. But even during fall season, it's always 3 days. If we have to outsource stuff and get it back, we won't be able to make our 3-day turn, and it doesn't work for us.
So we got a SPAC coming up, and let's talk a little bit about what your activities are there and what you hope to get out of that great event.
So SPAC is by far my favorite convention of the year. I'm just beyond excited. So I go to SPAC with my brother and partner, Steven, and Greg, and also Allison Abris. Allison is a sister to Greg. So a true family business. Allison manages our packaging department in the back. So when all the prints come, they produce all the specialty items, put everything together for the direct to home and batch orders. And so anyway, we'll be there for that. I just can't tell you how excited I am, because again, they're just the most amazing, smart, motivated, creative people in our industry, and to have about 1,500 people at one place. It's just amazing how much I learn each time I go, and things are just changing. I mean, I don't have to tell you, at warp speed now. It's the amount of information being thrown and incorporated into everything is just mind blowing now.
And what's amazing to me about SPAC is about 20% of their audience is new every year.
Yeah, and that's a great sign for our industry. That our industry is doing a great job. You and your podcasts and the whole SPAC crew, Corey and Calvin and the whole board, and Matthew Kemetmule and the whole team, what they all do. Yeah.
And it's just interesting because a lot of shows aren't experiencing that kind of new attendee growth. And that's kind of, as an exhibitor, that's what you want. I mean, you want to see your old friends, obviously, and reconnect and all that, but you want to see some new faces too.
We want to see some new faces, and that makes me think about one of our new software providers. So Photo Day, we saw how amazing Photo Day was from way back when, and we were eager to be one of their supporting labs and partners. Photo Day, unlike many of the other software companies, they kept it tight with the labs, and they opened up to about maybe 6 labs. Up until maybe 4 or 5 months ago. So now we're proud to be one of their supporting labs. For all these years, there was a segment of the volume industry that we could not service. Right. So and that was frustrating, because I'd speak to all these wonderful people, and they're like, "When are you going to be a supporting lab of Photo Day?" I said, "I don't know." Whenever they open up, and fortunately they decided to open it up, and we couldn't be any more excited. And early on, I mean, the industry seemed very, very excited that we're now able to support this wonderful platform.
So where can people go for more information about Alkit?
For more information, they can come to our website, alkit.com. As everybody knows, anybody can call me 24/7 on my cell. And I can't wait to see everybody at SPAC and all the other workshops and conventions this year.
Great. Well, David, it's been great talking to you. I appreciate the insights and the stories, and it'll be great to see you in Las Vegas. And again,
Gary, I want to just tell you, I've got the utmost respect for you. You know that, and what you do for our industry. You're absolutely amazing. So thanks for all your contributions. And just
thank you. I'm touched. Coming from you, that's high praise.
That's what it is, Gary. It's nice to see you in Vegas.
Take care. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Be well.
Thank Thank you for listening to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. Read more great stories and sign up for the newsletter at www.thedeadpixelssociety.com.